Hello, OA friends. Welcome to Inside OA. My name is Meg, and I'm an abstinent compulsive reader and food and sugar addict. Today, I get to meet with Bob. Bob is serving as both the Region 7 Trustee Liaison and as the World Service Office Treasurer. He's from New Jersey, which happens to be in Region 7. Bob first came to OA in November of 2003 and has served on the intergroup, region, and world service levels. So today, Bob's going to be talking about his role as treasurer with the World Service Office and what skills and experiences he brings to the role. Welcome, Bob. Take it away.
Hello, Meg. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a wonderful day here in New Jersey, and it's great to be with you. I love doing service for OA. When I got my first sponsor, it was at an intergroup meeting. Funny enough, I got right into service very quickly in my recovery. I am an accountant by profession, but there's a little misnomer. When I do my OA service, I don't always look for the treasurer positions, even though I am an accountant. I like to have fun with service. I do different things that are a little bit outside of my reach, thinking outside the box and doing different things. So when I did my first service, it was website chair, and I really didn't know all that much about it. But I enjoyed it so much and got so much positive feedback, and my self-esteem rose as a result that, yeah, I just said, okay, I can do this. That's how it started for me. And then I became an intergroup treasurer and other positions in the intergroup. I went to region and became region treasurer and kept doing service until I eventually became a trustee at the world level. I really enjoy being a trustee. I love the teamwork. I love the fact that we're all there to support each other. That has been such a wonderful gift. When I was elected as World Service Treasurer, I'm in my second year now. I really am enjoying that experience. It's a different experience than being treasurer at the other levels. And I say that because you're not doing all of the financial work, the behind the scenes accounting work, but you are looking at all of that, the accounting, and along with the other members of the executive committee, you are making financial decisions based on the data that you're getting. You do have to have the analytical eye, is how I say it. And I do that part of it to look and see how things are going and then make decisions based on what you see as far as the financials and seeing are we on the right path financially to meet the goals and the needs that we have. And that's what I see is a wonderful, experience that we're having with the executive committee. And we do that together. It isn't just me. Part of the fun that I get to do is to lead the discussion about the overall budget as a whole. And really, I do call it fun because while it might not be fun trying to balance the budget, what's fun about it is you two try to match our goals, our strategic planning, the goals that we have there with put your money where your mouth is as far as what budget monies do we need to accomplish our goals? And how can we best try to match the two of those together? Match the goal with how much money we need, and can we afford to do those things? If you don't have the money underlying those goals, then it's really an empty promise. You really can't do those things. I do that in my work, and doing it here in OA is the same thing. So it's great to be able to match that and do that. Yeah, that's what I found exciting about it, working with each other and trying to figure out what's best financially.
So you brought up some really good things. And I guess one thing I'd like to hear about the process, what do you do to prepare for the budget meeting? And if you could talk about what goes on at the budget meeting.
Sure, that's a great question. So, first of all, we look at the budget that we've been given from the staff and the managing director and the managers. They've all created their budgets and given input. That's the beauty of a budget is that everyone has input into it. You're asking for the needs of what the managers need in order to operate. And it's not pie in the sky. It's just saying, hey, these are the things in order for to produce what OA as a whole is looking for. This is what we need financially. This is what we need staff wise and all of that. And then you obviously have employee benefits and those type of things. And there's some of the new things that we see at this level because we have a building, we have building costs and expenses, and at the region level and the intergroup level, you really don't have that when you prepare those type of budgets. So there's some of the new things that need to be, included. But once we look at all of those things, once I looked at all of those things and I said, okay, these are all the managers saying what they need, then it's really taking a look at the overall budget gap and making sure you know what that number is made up of and what are the possible things that can be done, looking with that analytical eye and asking the questions, what's new? Are there any new positions that are added to this budget? Is there anything that's been deleted from this budget? Specifically with this year's budget, when we're looking at next year's budget, I should say, the World Service Convention is going to be something new for 2025 that we had to add into the budget. In 2024, we had the World Service Business Conference in person. Now in 2025, it's going to be virtual. So those are new things. Having all of that knowledge now going into the budget meeting, it basically is saying, first off, is there anything else that anyone sees? Because we now have distributed the budget to the full executive committee. Is there anyone that has anything that they see that just isn't right or they want more explanation on? So we'll talk about those things. Is there ways that we can save money in the budget without reducing services? So those are the type of questions that we now have to look at, is that we want this level of service, but can we really afford that level of service? So we have to make a decision. It was like, you know what, I'd really like to for this to happen, but we really can't afford it this year. Those are the type of decisions that we're going to have to talk about and seeing what's the right thing for us in this particular year. So that's the first thing that I do. And then we have to look not only at the expense side, but at the revenue side. Expenses, we try to budget conservatively what we need, but again, don't put too much excess in there, meaning that we want the ability to keep the expenses as low as possible, but we have to meet the needs. On the revenue side, we want to be very conservative with our revenues, book sales. We don't want to say that we think, oh yeah, it's very possible that we might be able to have $10,000 in sales on this particular book when we've never ever met that. A lot of the things that the managing director has prepared for us is that what the prior, say, 3 years of revenues have been in this area or expenses in this area, so we can look and see based on past history and make an educated decision on where we're going to end up. But try to be as conservative as possible, because if we go over that level, over that revenue, then all of those funds will come back to our surplus or help offset any type of deficit we might have. So that's just in general how I approach it.
Thanks, Bob. And for those who would consider doing this in the future, again, it's just having some good analysis skills behind you, as well as seeing what the trends are and really seeing what reality is. And the bottom line is, we have our contributions coming in. Thank you, everybody, to all of you who are listening, because I know you participate in that. And we just try to make the best use of what funds we have. And as Bob mentioned, we have employees and we have a building and we have inventory, books, pamphlets, those kinds of things. But we also want our money to get the word out, create a new public service announcement, which we did, and keep our website up and running and work on social media. So in planning for the budget meeting too, because I was treasurer for a couple of years, there's a time we all get together. And isn't that like in the middle of October? How many days are we together and what does that look like in general?
We meet in October, and it's just the executive committee, not the full board of trustees. And it's a quick 2-day meeting. The first day is the executive committee is going to look at the budget and make decisions and either have questions that we're going to ask the staff the following day, or we make decisions on some maybe cuts or changes to the budget. And then the next day, we will meet with the full staff and the managing director and make the final decisions on the budget to balance it. And then we'll have our vote with the executive committee during the board meeting to adopt the budget, or at least present the budget to the full board of trustees in November for a final vote.
Thank you. And so really, the executive committee gets an opportunity to really look at almost sometimes line by line as to what it costs and what we want our money to do, and making sure that we are responsible with contributions. What do you find fun about being treasurer? In fact, I'm going to just take a little side trip. So I think it was 2012, Bob. Back in the day, when they had the conference committees, there used to be 9, and one of them was the finance committee. That's where we first met. Do you
Yes.
remember what you worked on with that?
I worked on the frequently asked questions for a treasurer. I believe that document just resurfaced recently, and it was great to see that again. But yeah, that was a great document that we both worked on.
It was a lot of fun. And I remember thinking, oh, I have been treasurer of other things in the past, but I'm not an accountant. But I many times find myself gravitating towards this. Numbers fascinate me, and I just want to make sure we align well. So tell me, you meet with the region treasurers. What do you do there? How does that work?
Thanks to you, Meg. When you were World Service Treasurer before me, you had set up as monthly or bi-monthly Zoom meeting with the region treasurers, and I've continued that. That's been a great tool. And as you said to me, you've learned so much from the region treasurers, and so have I. It's just a session where we can support each other. We talk about issues that are going on, some things that some of us who being in New Jersey and being in Region 7 that does not have an international presence, we're not privy to some of the things that happen in the other regions. I'm hearing in Region 9 and Region 10, they're having issues with online contributions and transfers and all of those things, and interpretation costs and translation. Region 10 and Region 9 have a banker position as well as a treasurer position, which I found interesting. And I learned a little bit more about that. The banker does the actual accounting work, whereas the treasurer makes more of is on the board decisions and makes decisions based on the figures that they receive. So I thought that was quite interesting. So I really enjoy having conversations with them. I've actually encouraged them to do the same, have the intergroup treasurers meet with them in their individual regions, and see if we can pass down the knowledge and any questions and support. I think treasurer position is the hardest position to fill on any board at any level, because people are afraid of numbers and they don't want to mess things up, and it has to be done correctly, they believe. But really, when you think about it, everyone has their own personal budget. Everyone has a checking account. Everyone has a home budget that they deal with. So it's nothing more than that. And that's where most people have been a treasurer at a group level. It's not that hard. And intergroup level, there's not really much of a difference. It just might be more activity at the intergroup level and then maybe more activity at the region level. What I find is that there is so much support out there. Every single treasurer that I have known that has done the work before me or after me have all been willing to help the next person. Meg, you were treasurer, you were willing to help me. I know I have done the same. I've helped the subsequent region treasurer with anything. I have a sponsee now who does not have a financial background at all. And we needed a treasurer at our intergroup. He said, Bob, do you think I can do it? And I said, absolutely, you can. Do you have the willingness to do it? And if you need my support, I'll be there. So every month, give him any support he needed, especially in the first few months, to help him do the balancing and just take a look, double check his work, and that every treasurer is willing to do that. So I'm hoping that other people will step up into these roles as treasurer, because it's not as hard as people think it is. And it's quite enjoyable to look at the numbers and to see where you are and to help the board, especially now I'm working at World Service, to make decisions. And I think that's what's the important thing, is to focus on that, not on I'm off by a penny, that's a penny, or whatever it is. It's not about that. It's about using that information to make good decisions for the service body.
Thanks, Bob, for bringing that up because a lot of times, oh my gosh, it's we're off a bit. And the thing is, as I hear people say, if you make a mistake, we just won't pay you.
That's right.
So,
That's
you don't
right.
have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about yearly performance reviews. You just do the best you can, and you have a lot of people to support you. So, my question, we've been treasurer now for the last year and a half. How has that helped you in your recovery? How has that enhanced, let's say, your life outside of OA?
It really has, Meg. Every service position has to this point. I'm becoming better by doing this service work, especially at the trustee level. There are certain expectations that I put on myself, but also that others have on me too. And it's not in a bad way. It's we have certain deadlines where we have to get our reports in, our motions, and that is really helping me keep getting better organized. Watching the other trustees on how they carry themselves and what they do in preparation for meetings and how organized they are makes me want to be more organized. Those type of things. And then that has helped me to create more balance in my life too, because I'm saying I'm trying to set my priorities, do the things that need to get done in a timely manner. I may need to put things off, meaning things that are less of a priority. Then I've taken that to my personal life and said the same things. So, what are the things that really aren't important that are taking away my time? That's what really helped me when I was trying to do service at different levels and saying, do I really have the time? Well, yeah, if I stop watching TV as much as I'm doing or doing this and the things that I did that really took a lot of time away, when I stopped doing those things, I found the time that I needed. And that was important to do that. Again, I love working at the trustee level because it almost seems like the teamwork, we have such a cohesiveness and we have a same common goal and we work hard together and we collaborate well together. It's almost like a big think tank. And we don't always agree, but even when somebody questions something, you makes you think. It was like, hey, I don't necessarily agree with you, but I see where you're coming from, and that you can incorporate into the final, decisions that are made. Yeah, I just appreciate working with the other trustees. It's been wonderful for my recovery. I'm so much stronger. There was some concern that it would be too much. It would just so much, and I'd be overwhelmed and stressed, and that would hurt my recovery. And it's really been just the opposite. It really has been. It's such an affirming situation. We all work together and we understand if there's something happening and life's happening, that you need to take time and handle that. So that's been great to have the understanding and everyone has your back. I really appreciated that.
Thanks, Bob. And you brought up some key points as far as the desire to do better. I too have learned how to better organize my time, my materials, and deadlines just to continue doing that and continuing to work on creating balance. Really working with a wide variety of people from all walks of life. We work with people all around the world. And where else can you get that? Unless you work for a big, huge company and you're traveling or you work with people who are from all over the world. But it's just a great way to come together. I'm thinking you didn't just become treasurer, you've been in OA for almost 21 years now. Can you think of something that you didn't really feel you had everything buttoned up, but you jumped in anyway and said, I'm going to give that a shot? And you surprised yourself with new learnings.
Yeah, that's a great question. I really did. When I started at the intergroup level to be I mentioned I was the website chair. The experience that I had was a 1 day class that I took for my work, 1 day on websites. And this was back in 2004. So I had really no experience, but I had fun with it and I tried it. And I felt way out of my comfort zone, but there was no one else that was willing to do it in the intergroup. And I was willing to try. And I said, hey, it's either an unfilled position or me. So why not give it a go? So that's how I felt when I did that, and it worked. And then I said, okay. When I finished my term there, I said, why don't I try doing outreach? And I was the outreach chair for a little while. That didn't go as well, but I didn't get down on myself. And I just said, okay, that wasn't right for me right now. And that was important for me to say, to own up to where I did well and where I didn't do well, and to not beat myself up like I used to do in the past. And then I tried another position, and that did go well. And then I went to region service, and that was great. And I found that I clicked at the region level, and that went really well too. I became intergroup chair because of all of that and just trying it. And then the gift, because I had done those positions, I could now support anyone else who needed support in running for that particular position. So we had trouble finding a chair. I talked to people and I said, hey, I think you would be a great chair. I talked to people who had done the website and I gave them everything that I had. So that's what we do. We hand the information down, we help them, we support them. I was Region 7 treasurer, and the Region 7 treasurer after me, he came in and he just did such a phenomenal job. And he was not a numbers guy, but he was good with computers and he was able to get electronic giving going, which I had no knowledge of at the time on how to do that. He brought it all in. And so it's wonderful to see we support each other and we get better and things get better because of that. And that's what I love seeing. I really do.
That's such a great point. It's like all of this is not a competition. We get to
Mm,
go in, learn something new, and do the best we can, and
exactly.
learn from others, get the support. And I think, too, for me, it has supported my abstinence in the sense that with some positions, there's an abstinence requirement. And if I'm really enjoying that position, I'm not going to want to mess around with my food
Mhm.
plan at all because I want to stay in the role that I'm at and not in a hard way.
Mindful.
Do you find that when you get in there, you do the best you can, or you don't know something, you goof up? It's everybody plays by the same rules. That's one thing I found with OA. We don't have to worry about someone's wanting your position or they're going to move you aside or you got a politic here, politic there. We all know there's personalities involved. But what I like about it is that I don't have to worry about competing or being better than someone else. Just
Yeah.
can I do my best? Have you found that as well?
I have. We do the best we can. I remember I was a delegate co-chair for one of the committees, and I didn't have the follow through that particular year. I don't know what was happening, family life, and I was going through some procrastination time. And what the gift was, I came back, I made amends to the group and said I didn't follow through as good as I would have liked to. Everyone accepted me there, and I was able to move forward and feeling that I wanted to do better, and I did. And that following year, I did better, and I never looked back. I learned from that experience. But if I wouldn't have had that positive experience where people accepted me and said, life happens and we move on. So that's why I do give grace when I see other people struggling with service positions because I've struggled at times doing the service. And that's where somebody might just need more support. Hey, can I give you a hand? Is there something that you need from me to help you move forward? One of the things that my sponsor and I talk about often when I'm going through any type of issue, a block where I can't, I need, call it avoidance, procrastination, whatever you want to call it. Bob, can you touch it? Do it for 5 minutes tonight. And I'm like, yeah, I can do it for 5 minutes. And the 5 minutes might sometimes extend to longer, but sometimes it's just 5 minutes. But even that touching it for 5 minutes has made me feel so good, and, like, the wall started crumbled down, and I was like, "Tomorrow, I'm gonna touch it again." And if I touch it every day a little bit at a time, the work gets done, and that's how I look at some of the service positions, and even with my work sometimes, if I'm doing something very difficult, a very large task, I just break it down, and I say, "Okay, I feel really good because I made some progress here." And that's the same thing with a service. I've had the same experience.
Thanks, Bob. What a great close for this is that we get to meet people from all around the world and we get great advice. I love the whole thing. Just touch it for 5 minutes. And so I'm going to say to all of you listeners, touch it for 5 minutes. If you're looking at that service thing and you're like, I don't know. Give it a shot for 5 minutes. And that might be something as simple as picking up the phone or texting someone and saying, hey, I'm interested in doing this. What would it take? And that's all you have to do. Bob, thank you again for joining us today on Inside OA, and just hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Meg. It's been a pleasure. And take care, everyone.